Today, you see the article that people file in, and we'll get to it. See what my chat's doing. Happy Monday. Give me one in the chat if you can hear me. Give me a one in the chat if you can hear me. So you saw the thumbnail. So, so what is the government going dark means? What's up, Miss KP Bailey? Glad you can join me. Join us, I guess. My team will be following in. You know how we do. If you got any tech questions, shout out to Sir Octavius of Williamsburg. Glad you could join me with the salute. So we're gonna get into it. Shout out to my man Ty in the house. So the government going dark means with encryption, and we're gonna get a little more into it. With everybody doing end-to-end encryption, and we're gonna get it started with Meta. Government can't spy on you, right? So the government's like, hey, we can't do our job, right? So if we can't do our job, then hey, we need them encryption keys. I appreciate you. Digital transfer. I appreciate you. Definitely part of the Tech Avengers. Shout out to them. I'm sure a few of them be dropping in. Happy Monday. Appreciate it. It's been a long Monday. What's up, Wayne Wallace? Glad you can join me. So we're gonna get into it. We're gonna start off with Meta, then we're gonna go into, I always call it the society issues, the big issues that cybersecurity and tech start having, right? So what is more important, your privacy or the safety of the nation, right? So that's how the government be putting it. Is it your privacy or the safety of the nation is at risk? Sounds good in reverse psychology. Facts. So talk to talk, facts. So we're gonna get into it, right? I like doing a few of these. We talking big society issues, and once again, I taught for 10 years at a community college, and this is the stuff I used to bring out with my class. And the interesting thing was everybody over 40 thought the government should be able to look at anything they wanted to. Everybody under 40, they thought privacy was more important, encryption was more important, and their privacy was more important. A lot of older people were like, well, I ain't doing nothing wrong. So that always kind of struck me a little different too, because everybody under 40 doing everything on the net. So maybe that's what it was. So let's read this Meta, aka Facebook, expanding encryption on their messenger, making it similar to WhatsApp. If people don't know, WhatsApp is probably the most used messaging app on the planet around the world. Then we know what? I think half the planet's on Facebook using Facebook Messenger. Right. So we're gonna get into it. You know how we do it. If there's any tech questions or cybersecurity questions, even if it's not about this particular subject, just drop them in the box. Even if they're tech adjacent, drop them in the box and we'll get to them. So let's get started. And we're going to get into what's more important, national security or your privacy. So let's get at it. So Meta expands its encryption message, making it similar to WhatsApp. That's the cool thing when you buy multiple companies, Instagram, Facebook, and Facebook bought a ton of smaller companies. You get to take their code base, mess it with your code base, right? You get to cherry pick the best things you think out of each one of those and upgrade your code base to make it better, actually. Uh, newer techniques and newer security issues and just learning from different code bases. So we're gonna look at the key points. Personal calls and chats of every user will be encrypted by default, representing a major privacy update. That's that makes the service more similar to its sibling WhatsApp. 2016 Messenger users could choose or opt in to safeguard their chats via a process referred to as end-to-end encryption, which scrambles communication so that third parties can't eavesdrop and access information. So let's read that again, right? Scrambles people communication so that third parties can't eavesdrop and access data. That includes the government of the United States of America, too, right? So in 2019, Zuckerberg said the social network company would bring encryption technology to our private communications in its family of apps, underscoring a push of privacy push that executives attributed to changing consumer habits in which people want to connect privately in the digital equivalent of the living room, right? So you see them right there, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, and Facebook, right? And inside Facebook, we know there's Messenger. So it said Wednesday evening that personal calls, chats of every messenger user will be encrypted by default, representing a major update that makes the service more similar to its sibling WhatsApp. You got to remember, a lot of people around the world actually use Facebook to call people, call their relatives, similar to WhatsApp around the planet, right? So a lot of people don't realize, once again, that Facebook used in Africa, Ireland, um, Argentina. A lot of those places struggle with basic telecommunications, right? So Facebook actually fills that void. I don't think a lot of people realize it. Only people outside the U.S. now facts on how WhatsApp is. No, you're right. A lot of people are not familiar. Privacy greater than. I'm with you. I'm with you. We're gonna look at some other videos where the government don't think that's true, but I'm with you on that. I'm with you. I still don't trust them. Facts. I'm with you. Israel cracked signal years ago, so I know facts. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'll be assuming NSA got backdoor server. To be honest, regarding no, I agree with you. I agree. With you. The reason I don't believe that benefits versus hacking, but not the government. The only reason I push back, Axel Foley 317 with the Indiana brother, is we're gonna get in that. The FBI, I can't forget. Remember that it wasn't a hostage. It was that one threat actor. He was a kind of mass shooter. They got his phone and they couldn't break it. Remember, so the FBI was trying to get the keys, and we're gonna read that. They were trying to get the keys from Apple, and Apple was like, "Yeah, we don't got those keys." Right? The FBI was not happy, so that's why I don't think the government has them out. Actually, because if you go back, remember they were trying to get Apple. The FBI was trying to get those keys from Apple, and Apple was like, "We ain't got them." That's a no. So I think they're still working on that. Let's see. Yep, from the CIA forced Apple to the. I don't think they forced them, Chris. I think they sent the one I remember, and I think we're gonna look at it. They actually sent that phone to Israel, and Israel had a way to actually break it. Originally, what I think they did when they were doing the backup wasn't encryption. They forced it. I'm about to double check on that, Chris. I believe I'm about to double check. Celebrated history, but equipment. They got YouTube channel. I'll check that one out. No, I have to look up. I'll look that up, Chris. The one I remember, they sent the phone to Israel. They Apple didn't do it. Yeah, I remember that Apple wouldn't help. Yeah, start to boost their rate. Yeah, I don't. Blackjack, did Apple? Chris thinks Apple gave in. I didn't think Apple gave in. Once again, I'm about to dig into that. I'm about to dig into that. It might be in one. I got some more articles. I'll get to them. Let's keep going. Let's keep going so we can get to the good stuff. Because of encryption technology today, nobody, including Meta, can see what's sent or said unless you choose to report messages to us. The head of Messenger wrote in a company blog post. Christian said that it will take an unspecified amount of time for Meta to encrypt our message chats, and the company relied on several cryptographic principles to inform this strategy, including one developed in-house and another one utilized by popular. And my man already said Signal. I did a video on that. Signal actually open sourced their encryption, which was kind of cool. So now shout out to Signal, helping the community. Since 2016, message users could choose to opt in or to safeguard their chats via a process referred to as end-to-end encryption, which scrambles people communication so that third parties can't eavesdrop and access their data. Although Meta, other messaging what apps also utilize end-to-end encryption, privacy advocates have a general considered Signal to be more secure communication server because it collects less user data. And two is people know I'm a NIST guy, and when you set up NIST or FERPA or FISMA, when you set up your architecture, you're really trying to get to end-to-end encryption, right? From your browser to your web server to your app server. all the way to your database. Everybody know I'm an AWS fan, guys, so I'm trying to use their KMS keys, make sure I got encryption from the browser all the way to the database, right? So if a hacker actually gets on our network, if they don't have them KMS keys, even if they're doing a TCP dump or trying to use burp suite or something to look between communications, they shouldn't be able to read it. So one thing as a GRC guy, encryption coming from my app server, if you look, it's called TCP dump. It'll dump all the traffic on the wire. I should not be able to read any of it, right? That lets me know it's encrypted. If I can read it, we got a problem, right? So that's where you want to get to as a GRC person, as a architect, CTO. You really want to get to end the encryption. So if somebody actually gets on your box, they still wouldn't be able to read it. So let's get Apple wouldn't help. Yep, that's what I thought. We're gonna get to it. Yep, Israel cut SD off the phone, extracted today, playing S on new device. I believe it was, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I might have to check on, see what Chris did. They tried to fight it, but lost it. I might have to double check on you, Chris. I believe. Shout out to my man, Chris. We're always in the Discord for Simply Cyber. That's my guy. We always putting in work. So I'm definitely going to get him on the channel, probably interview him. He's doing some great things, getting his feet wet in the community. So let's keep going, though. Like I said, PBO ain't right all the time, though. So we're gonna have to double check me. We're gonna have to double check me. Let's keep going. So after years of working to rebuild messengers, we updated apps with default end-to-end encryption for our personal calls and messages. Shout out to Mark Zuckerberg, work in a Facebook post on Wednesday. Huge congrats to the team on making this happen. 2019, Zuckerberg said the social networking will bring encryption technology to all private communication and family of apps, underscored a major privacy push that executives attributed to change in consumer habits in which people want to connect privately in the digital equivalent of a living room. Right. So that's what Facebook is selling. Like my man, that's their marketing hype. That's what they're trying to get people. Shout out to my man, Salute, trying to get people to believe. Zuckerberg detailed his more privacy-centric vision for Facebook following a string of data privacy blunders, including Cambridge Analytica, which damaged the company's information. They were given third-party access to some other companies and vendors, and they just abused it. They were taking all the information out of Facebook, selling it, spinning it up to get people's voter registration, figure out people's location, right? And people were using it for political, I guess, gain once again, because once again, I probably would say what 70% of the United States is on Facebook, some in some way, shape, or form. Even if they don't use it much, they're still on there. Meta debuted more privacy-related updates, including let some Instagram users in few countries opt in to having their direct messages encrypted via test in 2021. In 2022, Meta conducted a test on Messenger that let users back up their end-to-end encryption conversation in case they need to access them on another device. Although the test came shortly after the social network company provided Messenger chat history to the Nebraska law enforcement investigation and alleged illegal abortion in the state, a Meta spokesperson said at the time they were unrelated. So I always remember you got to be careful, right? So your messages, even though you think they're encrypted, you think they're secure, maybe they're a little secure, but if Meta's giving a search warrant by the FBI, the CIA, one of those three-letter agencies, they will give up your data if they have it. I think what they're saying right now, if they encrypt it, aka Apple, they can't read it, right? But if somebody gives them a search warrant, they're giving your data up. So be careful. I mean, what you say on Facebook could be used in a court of law. And most people say, well, I'm not doing anything illegal, right? That really wouldn't apply to me, right? But I always remember, man, them search warrants, right? I did a video of that on Senior Pena with my man DJ Envy scamming a community, right? So when three-letter agency runs up in your corporation, they're giving up your phone, your PC, your laptop, anything you've done on Teams, all that information can be dumped and give it to a three-letter agency. Let's keep rolling. Meta latest encryption analysis will likely add to an ongoing debate. That's what we're going to talk about today. involving privacy and ability of law enforcement to conduct an investigation, right? And that's how we started off. What's more important, your privacy or the safety of the nation, right? That's how they usually frame it. Exemplified in the 2017 case when the FBI wanted Apple to develop software to help them unlock the iPhone of the suspect that were part of a major shooting in San Bernardino, California. That's what I just got through talking about right there. So let's see. Apple refused to comply. Okay, Chris, I'm winning right now. We're going to have to see. Apple refused to comply, saying at the time, the same engineers who built the strong encryption in iPhone to protect one users ironically be ordered to weaken that protection and make our users less safe. So shout out to Apple. They're like, we ain't doing it, government. You're going to have to come a little stronger, right? So Apple refuses to comply with the United States government, aka the FBI. They said the same engineers who built strong encryption into iPhones to protect our users would ironically be ordered to weaken those protections and make our users less safe. So Apple's always been playing that encryption card. Shout out to them. Let's read a few more chats while we're here. The FBI sent the phone to Israel. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. This is great overview. I appreciate you, Chris. Do you believe the ties into recently notifications issue lately? I got to think about that. I got to think about that. Professor Bice, I'm so glad to catch you. I appreciate you. Hi, shout out to Caramel Drip. Predictive analytics for facts on that. Go check out my man Tech RX, AI and ME, giving that great AI machine learning. You get all that data from Cambridge Analytica, then you can make some stuff happen. Network support for PCI-DSS compliance. Life is great. Shout out to you, man. I'm gonna do a video. I'm not. PCI is okay. I think it's a little weak. Best company. Shout out. That's all that matters, man. The best company you ever worked for, you winning, man. We can talk about the security of PCI-DSS later, man. Congratulations. Facts. The weird thing is, as a GRC, my last job, we used to put the firewall rules in, counting this object domain. Then GRC would have to validate it before we send it off to the firewall team. So we did it at a kind of conceptual level, making sure from a security standpoint, none of our developers was opening it up to the whole planet. Then we would send it to our Cisco guys. They would actually put it in there, though. Why is it so difficult to break in cybersecurity? I think it's the gatekeepers. I think two is I think people overanalyze cybersecurity. They think if somebody mess up, everybody in the world is going to be hacked. So I think it's a few things in there, Ty. I think the community is getting better. Long story short, I think when the boomers kind of slide out, I think they're looking for degrees and a little more level of expertise. I think on any team you can have junior people and mid-level people because we train people before we let them touch anything. So I just want your course to be released. Shout out to Chris working on the course. Shout out. Got to get my course together. Where should newbies start as far as getting the role of PCI-DSS? I don't know if you're familiar with Simply Cyber. I'll put the link in there. He's got a good GRC class, which is kind of basic IT auditing, governance, risk, and compliance to kind of get into that role. And so let me know if you heard him. If you're not, I'll drop his information in the chat. Once again, Simply Cyber. If you do, trying to think of what it's called. It's a low-cost course. I think that's and I'm gonna do a video how to what I think is the roadmap to get in GRC, and that's kind of definitely level one. Dr. Ozier beginning GRC class. Let me know. I'll drop it in the chat if you don't see it. Remind me at the end when I get close to the end. If you can't find, I'll get in there. More recently, leaders at WhatsApp and Cigna said their services will no longer be available in the United Kingdom. If the lawmakers are enacting laws that would weaken encryption, the UK government claimed that Meta's encryption push would make it more difficult to detect online child abuse activities. Right, so that's one thing the government always you're putting the babies at risk, right? So shout out to the United Kingdom. They're trying to weaken security, right? So because there's always going to be bad guys, and the bad guys going to use encryption just like the good guys, right? So that's kind of one of the I guess negative parts of that. So once again, the United Kingdom, I think the United States gonna get there pretty soon. They're gonna start doing legislation and be like, hey, y'all gonna have to give us them keys to them back doors, man, or keep it on a hush hush so we can do our job, right? So there's always the catch-22 on that. Let's read some more, then we'll look at this quick video. I can still troubleshoot the routers and switch now. That's cool. That's cool. That's kind of one of the things too, is part of this AO, is when you have encryption, a lot of times you want to be able to view the packets and the information. If encryption comes on, you got to take that packet with the keys decrypted, then be able to scan those packets. Sometimes that could be a performance hit. So I've seen that both ways, where okay, we need part of it because we got to decrypt the packets to look into. Because if you can't decrypt them, right, some things you're going to be missing from a malware virus protection flowing through your network until it actually hits your disk. So that's one of the issues too, coming through from encryption. Is working in the night. Oh yeah, definitely. I always say network operations, and we're talking about it. Controlling your traffic, watching your packets, like we just talked about, what packets can go on your network, what's your firewall rules, right? Because your firewall rules is gonna say what packets can get in your network. Two is what packets are you gonna let go to certain parts of your network. And when you were privileged account like a DBA, everybody can't log into that particular subnet unless you're a DBA, right? Or you're in security. All that's set up by networking. That's the stuff you learn by working in the NOC. So now NOC is definitely a good time. I have 2 years degree and I have a cert for it. That is crazy, Ty. That is crazy. Are you going in or are you trying to find remote work? Which one are you trying to do? Yeah, shout out to Ty. I see you there. I see you there. Yeah, that's definitely the guy. I try to go. I've been studying more in the morning, so I ain't been going as much. I got to try to pass the CISP. I'm tired. But let's keep going. Let's look at this quick video where we're going to drill down a little more and see what the government is looking for. Once again, it's national security versus your privacy. Who are you going with?
I'm here on 14th Street in New York City, where hundreds of people are messaging friends and family with their phones. But while they're texting, the FBI, advocacy groups, and government agencies are all battling over who can read those text messages.
That's what we're just talking about, right? The government wants to read your text messages, right? The FBI, not all the time, right? But we know when Google hits, it can do a Google search, whatever closest to your phone. They can do a digital net and say, I need all these phones within 400 meters of this particular phone, right? And they read those messages. Why? It could be a terrorist, a pedophile, armed robber, right? So they need to be able to read those text messages to figure out what's up. And two is, let's be realistic. When the FBI, CIA find terrorists, it's not magic, man. It's not like, oh, we magically found this guy. No, they read text messages, your email messages, your text messages you're sending it. That's done by a digital investigation, a digital dossier. It's not magic. So if we do end-to-end encryption, they can't find those people, right? So we got to think about that, the good and the bad and the ugly. Let's keep going.
Most messages, like those sent from WhatsApp, which was the most popular messaging app in 2019, or Apple's iMessage, are encrypted. That means that they are kept private from everyone except the intended recipient. And while these platforms aren't perfect, Jeff Bezos' phone was recently accessed through a malicious video message via WhatsApp.
Come on, Jeff Bezos, let's get it together, man. Come on, man. You got Amazon, one of the greatest companies in the world, and your phone getting hacked. Somebody should be fired. Shout out to Jeff.
Many people rely on the privacy that encryption provides daily.
Encryption is basically how you lock your door online.
Some law enforcement agencies and dignitaries like Attorney General William Barr would argue that the protection provided by encryption also protects criminals and terrorists.
There are situations where we would want the government, for example, to be able to get access to certain information.
The president believes tech companies like Apple should be building encryption with so-called backdoors.
I don't care. We have to find out what's going on.
I care. I care. Right. So give me one in the chat if you're I'm trying to think who believes one if you for encryption and your privacy. Give me one in the chat. If you believe your privacy encryption is more important. One in the chat for your encryption and privacy. Let's see. Let's keep going. One in the chat for your encryption and
Benefits of
privacy.
encryption as a tool are practically countless, and few would argue that on either side. The issue is who should be able to use that encryption and for what.
On the one hand, you have law enforcement and government agencies who are arguing that they need access to information.
Give me 0 if you for the government. Give me 0 for the government. 1 for your private, 0 for the government.
In order to be able to prosecute criminals, versus those that are arguing that we need encryption to protect the functioning of our democracy.
And many human rights activists, privacy experts, and members of the tech community believe it is essential to online and physical safety.
If we don't have encryption, if we don't have that level of anonymity, then we simply can't exist online. And sometimes that might mean not exist in life.
End-to-end encryption saves lives. It saves lives.
Why is the U.S. government is challenging your privacy, right? So let's see what we got. Everybody, I don't see no zeros, right? But that's what I expect from my audience, right? We're tech people. We understand encryption. We understand what it's used for and how it's protected. So I would expect the majority of my channel actually to be one, encryption.
You might be surprised how many services use encryption to keep data private. Banks use encryption for mobile payments and deposits. iMessage and Signal use end-to-end encryption to secure message data, and encryption is also used to protect sensitive data like health data.
Your web browser has strong encryption in it. Like whenever you buy something online, there's really strong encryption happening in the background of it to protect your credit card and your transaction.
To put it very simply, when information is sent from user A to user B, the information is converted into a jumble of nonsense. That nonsense is encrypted and decrypted according to a key. User B uses that key to decrypt the information, and this is all done digitally.
Encryption is the science of secret codes, but it is essentially just math. It's applied math. It's not fancy in terms of technological things. It's fancy math.
It's that math is hard as hell. Shout out to that math. But no, she's right. It's just really math at the highest level. And two, as I always tell anybody, I've been in cybersecurity forever. I just use AES 1024, right? I don't understand the math behind it. Well, a little bit, 16 rounds, blah, 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 right? But you just use it. You just say in Oracle, I'm using advanced security option, and it's going to do all that for you. SQL Server, I'm going to use the advanced security option. I'm on a web server. I can take OpenSSL, compile it in, use that level of encryption, right? So it's built into a lot of apps, and you just use it, and it works at the highest level. So that's the cool thing about it.
It's important to stress that encryption is a tool. It scrambles data to an unrecognizable state, even for the government. The argument for most is what data should be scrambled. Bank data, government communications, these things are often regarded as data that should be scrambled and therefore secured.
Do we really need there to be lawful access into the command and control channels that are used for operational technology? Say to run a dam or an electric power plant? There's no reason you would ever need quote unquote lawful access to that system.
Personal communications like messages sent with WhatsApp are some of that scrambled data that's facing scrutiny.
On the other hand, there are other channels that you can imagine where there might be a more valid trade-off between what the protection that encryption provides and the needs of law enforcement to do investigations.
But
that's what everybody said, right? The law enforcement, once again, those three letters agency, FBI, CIA, TSA, a lot of those agencies, trying to use your data to catch the bad guy, right? Let's read a couple of these before we get going again. Okay, I'll make sure I drop that. Let's see what AO says. The knock is where I started. Provide, yeah, facts on that. Facts. I'm in NetOps. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, network is definitely a good place. I'm willing to do hybrid. We'll talk. I'll shoot you some emails, and we can go check that out. Yeah, always a record. We got all ones. I ain't seen not 1-0. Permanent record for the government investigation. Facts. You know, BBO doing survey. Facts, 1-0. Facts. I'm in the middle. Depends on the circumstance. I feel you on that. PCI, shout out to that. Oh, Diffie Hillman, elliptical curve. Shout out to that. I was studying that earlier for my CISP. Shout out to that because Diffie Hillman's asymmetrical key transfer, I believe. This is cryptography finance like SHA-256. Yep. SHA usually for hashing though, right? Shout out for that. More hashing. I'm usually at more AES 1024, but now facts. Doesn't the government have TAO via the NSA? Yep, it does. But if the NSA can't get to it, why the dam hooked into the internet? I think the reason the dam is hooked to the internet now, if infrastructure is crumbling or you get too much water, right? People don't like to get up in the morning, right? So the dam's gonna actually call you on your phone and be like, "Uh-oh, we in trouble." But now that actually is a good point. Everybody's lazy, man. Don't nobody want to roll in there or have the drones find out. But that's a good question. Why is the dam up to the internet? I don't know why I think that's so funny. Yeah, no, shout out to that. Let's keep rolling.
Who is to say who can scramble what data?
I don't think it's appropriate for the government to decide that they get security and we don't. And curious, I mean, if law enforcement actually went around your neighborhood and said, look, there's burglars on the loose, so we want you to leave your front door open. So in case you're a burglar, we can come find you without having to break down your door. Most people would say, that's crazy. Go back and learn your job. You're supposed to be protecting me.
And the line between digital and physical safety can be a thin one. For example, the EFF has worked with victims of domestic violence to help them stay safe and secure.
Being able to have communications over WhatsApp, whether you're trying to find your way to a shelter, find a shelter, arrange for whatever's going to happen when somebody's going to come get you or you're going to get yourself out, making sure that you can cover your tracks about who helped you, where you went, and where you got help can be the difference between life or death for people who are escaping domestic violence situations.
Encryption is also protecting human rights activists and folks who are living in countries with dictators and persecutory policies. Esra built a social platform called Ahwa where individuals who identify as LGBTQ+ can virtually meet and talk with each other in Middle Eastern and North African countries, such as Egypt, where homosexuality is not expressly illegal, but where the government has used laws against what they call debauchery, among others, to criminalize LGBTQ+ individuals.
Encryption is very important for us. I mean, we are operating in such a sensitive part of the world where censorship and surveillance are the norm, where individuals are tracked not just because of what they believe, but simply because of who they are. Their very identity, their very existence is in fact a crime.
Because Ahwa is public, yet anonymized and encrypted, people are able to share experiences, share resources, and share life-saving advice.
If somebody, for example, says, I'm a lesbian in Saudi Arabia, I have suicidal thoughts because I can't reconcile my identity with my faith, and then people can come who can relate to that topic without needing to sign in and see what other people are writing in terms of support, in terms of resources, where can I go to get any types of counseling, mental health. If you're a trans individuals, where can I go to get some hormonal therapy without risking my life? This is what AHWA really stands for, is accessibility with the responsibility for security.
On the other side of the issue,
Yeah, I ain't touching that. I just know they were calling that debauchery. So once again, using encryption to help people solve problems, solving real world problems. So shout out to them.
some argue that encryption actually masks threats to national security and the security of civilians.
Not all access all of the time is bad, and maybe we want to take some of the risks that are associated with having lawful access, understanding that they pose risks, and we still want to do that anyway.
On December 2nd, 2015, Saeed Farouk and Tashfeen Malik opened fire in the city of San Bernardino, California, leaving 14 people and the 2 shooters dead. During the investigation, the FBI attained Farouk's iPhone, but could not access it through the passcode. They went to Apple to unlock it, and Apple couldn't help.
I think it's frankly disgraceful. I think it's a disgrace what they're doing. And I think that ultimately Apple will have the blood of dead Americans on their hands.
Wow, that was a deep statement. You see, man, that's a deep statement. Man. They put Apple, the blood of Americans on Apple's hands, right? So that's when you deal with privacy and at the deepest level, right? Like we talked about, privacy versus, like we talked about, the security of the nation. That's pretty much how they saw it. So let's read a couple of these chats, and we're going to get back out to it. And Chris, we're going to see which one of us were right on that last one. They don't look like Apple gave up. So hackers have used sites like Soda and connected dams. Yeah, shout out. I might get with Gabe and Struggle Security and get in the shoulder and actually do something live on that. That's kind of more his world than my world, though, to be honest. I love real crap. Facts. I usually do more open SSL, but you got to compile it. But we'll talk about that in the future. Government wants access to forfeitures and no encryption. Facts. Shout out to my man, Wired Dog Sec, with that lovely image he got. Definitely go subscribe to him. He's doing big things. So, well, China gave Africa free network equipment filled with backdoors of government. No, facts. So, yeah. So you got to be careful, man. When you need stuff from people, Ty, they come with strings, though. Shout out to that. News by the news. Facts. It's weird that encryption is the problem, but guns is facts. I think, facts. You get that? Man, I need to be. I just cannot focus. Let's get back on what my man said. I'm gonna roll it back just a touch because he was getting all on it. So let's get back to it.
Couldn't help.
I think it's frankly disgraceful. I think it's a disgrace what they're doing. And I think that ultimately Apple will have the blood of dead Americans on their hands for these kinds of decisions.
Apple's encryption was so good, according to Apple, that Apple itself couldn't access the encrypted data on the phone. Beyond that, the assistance ordered by a federal judge would overhaul the system that disables the phone after 10 unsuccessful password attempts. Tim Cook called the order chilling.
We did not expect to be in this position at odds with our own government, but we believe strongly that we have a responsibility to help you protect your data and protect your privacy.
We have a tremendous problem with data breaches and lack of security in the digital world, and encryption is one of the very few tools we have that can help protect us, and so it's tremendously important that we stand up for it.
Putting what was being called a backdoor in the iOS framework would allow the FBI to access the contents of iPhones everywhere, as is legally its right with a warrant, but would also leave the operating system much more vulnerable to hackers and other governments.
It does come across often as the government side sort of more or less demanding a unicorn, right? We just want the tech sector to provide access to their products, but only for us and only under the conditions that we say. And of course, the tech sector says, well, that's not possible because math.
The FBI took Apple to court about the issue, but found another way into the iPhone without Apple's help.
We're being asked to
Chris, I think I won that without Apple's help.
Create a method to hack our own phones.
The case was dropped, but the debate still continues.
Encryption is good. The right way is to leave Apple alone. The government's being lazy. Investigation is too hard. That's what I say. So we're just going to sacrifice your civil liberties.
The price we pay for this privacy is that privacy covers criminals and the crimes they commit. Drugs and gun sales, human trafficking, these are all done in the very dark, secret, and private corners of the internet.
Where are we willing to risk not getting information for investigations? Where are we willing to risk potentially having the bad guys gain access to a channel because of, weakened encryption?
All of our rights have trade-offs, and we as a society have to decide if we want to make that trade-off. But I think we should recognize the downsides to the rest of us of taking away our security and balance that against making it maybe slightly harder in maybe a few cases for the FBI to catch somebody who's done something wrong.
I think she didn't say that hard enough, right? that encryption might help somebody, get hurt, somebody get away. All right. So we just need to understand what that means when you say that. My privacy and encryption, the government's going to need to find a way. A lot of times the government's not going to find another way. Right. It'd be very interesting that the two amendments in our people are quick to say people kill people, not guns. But you have this guy blaming Apple for the same fact. No, that is true. That is a great analogy for that. Apple has blood on hand, but not the person. Interesting. That is a huge, interesting, Zach. So, I mean, that's once again, that's an excellent point, right? But two is it's what people feel, and like you said, most people don't think logically when they get on those passionate subjects. Okay, you got me there. Sign up for their hands like I was heard before. It's making this. Yeah, but they might have did later, but on that particular one, I kind of remember because they sent that phone to Israel. And if you don't know, Israel's definitely probably the top country for cybersecurity. So they always have some different techniques. And one of those techniques I know came out into stick checks. The backup wasn't quite encrypted at the same level as your base, but when you encrypt it up to Apple into the cloud, it wasn't quite encrypted at the higher level. So people were hacking into their cloud, but once again, they got that fixed and their changes. Let's keep going.
Facebook is now in the political spotlight, having declared its dedication to end-to-end encryption for messaging apps WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger. In an open letter to Facebook, U.S. Attorney General William Barr, along with dignitaries from the UK and Australia, warned that, quote, security enhancements to the virtual world should not make us more vulnerable in the physical world, and that, quote, children's safety and law enforcement's ability to bring criminals to justice must not be the ultimate cost of Facebook taking forward these proposals.
It's always interesting. They put the babies in the mix. Right? Anything, we got to help the babies, right? We don't care anything about babies until we need to make a point, right? We don't care nothing about the babies until we need to make a point, though. That's always interesting, man. We're going to throw the babies in there.
He wants government bodies to have legal access to data that could be involved in a crime.
Important people get security, but little ordinary people don't get security.
These are challenges that people like him can't even fathom, because they've never been in a situation where your very identity is criminalized.
Over 100 organizations signed a letter urging Facebook to continue its pursuit of end-to-end encryption against the wishes spelled out in the letter from the US, UK, and Australian governments. These organizations included the ACLU, Human Rights Watch, and the Electronic Frontier Foundation.
We felt it was important for Facebook to stand its ground and to understand that, that people like us who work on behalf of users, if Facebook stands with their users on this, we'll stand with them.
The leaders of WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger responded to the Attorney General William Barr in another open letter saying, quote,
Shout out to that, though. I want to just quick messages. That's why when you're a big company and you do big things, you need to have big lawyers, right? So now Facebook is really the town meeting, the town watering hole, half the planet's on it. So now when you make moves, government's going to respond to those type of moves, right? So you better have a deep bench of lawyers because you will get subpoenaed. They will throw you. I mean, they made him come in front of Congress, right? So I always remember that when you get to a certain level, the government's going to touch you.
Backdoor access you are demanding for law enforcement would be a gift to criminals, hackers, and repressive regimes, creating a way for them to enter our systems and leaving every person on our platform more vulnerable to real-life harm.
I believe Facebook is absolutely correct to resist this. I do not think we want to be creating vulnerabilities because they're going to get exploited.
I've heard from people, friends and family, who say, why should I be worried that the government has my data? I'm not doing anything wrong. Or jokes that the government would be bored with my data. But Esra says that she might have to shut down Ahua if encryption were forcibly weakened.
I think the risk would multiply so much that we would just completely feel paralyzed, that we will no longer be able to grow, maintain, and sustain all of these initiatives. And the internet as a whole will lose so many voices, so many communities, so many narratives, so many perspectives that we really need in order to grow and expand and decentralize, genuinely decentralize the internet. so that it is more representative of marginalized voices that have been silenced for too long.
There's also the concern that taking encryption away from some people won't stop the criminals who will find other ways to communicate privately.
If we set up lawful access to certain channels, many of the adversaries will simply move to channels where that law enforcement access does not exist.
When you think about the real bad guys of the world, if we're talking about ISIS or terrorist groups, they're going to have access to strong encryption.
And an American policy calling for backdoors in encryption would create an international precedence.
If Apple creates this backdoor, then China's going to say, oh, well, that's nice. Iran's going to say, that's a beautiful backdoor.
Exactly.
Turkey,
hand it over.
Same thing, right?
From 2014, when Apple started encrypting users' iPhone content, to 2016, Manhattan's then district attorney said he was in possession of 175 iPhones that could have provided evidence in legal cases. Encryption has the potential, as we've seen, to thwart the efforts of law enforcement to catch criminals and prevent crimes.
The Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, the Fourth Amendment right to be free of search and seizures, these are all rights that give us protection against law enforcement that has downsides. That means that sometimes bad guys might go free. But we know that in order to keep the rest of us free, we need to have this balance in the role of law enforcement.
Amnesty International says there is no middle ground. If law enforcement is allowed to circumvent encryption, then anybody can.
I'm kind of on that level, right? If law enforcement is allowed to circumvent encryption, then anybody can. All right, but once again, I thought this was a very deep conversation, and I just wanted to have it. I like doing big society talk sometimes.
They feel that either everyone is protected, from community activists to terrorists, from regular people to governments, or no one is protected.
This is an incredibly complex area that we will have to grapple with as a society, and I would much rather us grapple with it proactively and arrive at some policy decisions than make, bad decisions in the wake of a disaster one way or the other.
A lot of people sometimes think, oh no, this issue is exaggerated. And the bigger concern is, what if militants are using encryption? That's why we should ban it, because in order to protect millions of people, we need to risk the lives of 100,000 people. That's not true. I think that argument is incredibly weak. I think there's a lot that we can do to balance the two.
You may not know it, but you rely on encryption every day already. Right. And this isn't the government trying to prevent you from getting something. This is the government trying to take away something you already have.
And I'll share a video later. It's called FIPS 140-2. That's when the government actually looks at your encryption and makes sure you're doing it right. All right, because a lot of people can say they're doing AES 256, DAS 3, like you said, Diffie-Hellman. Are you doing it correctly, and how are you doing it? So once again, I just kind of really like this topic from large society, and I think everybody shout out to the ones they think their privacy is more important. Like the lady said, she believes that it's a weak argument. So let's go through some more of the chat. Once again, if you got any questions, put them in there. I got a few more articles that's touching on that. People now, they commit crimes. That is a good point, man. That is a shame, but a good point, man. That is a good point. That's a good point. It was one reason I stopped working for Apple. It's undermining. It's an undermined closed source system, in my opinion. That's true, but part of that being closed, though, is they have ultimate control of their systems. I think Apple, from technologies, is definitely at the top of the game, but they do have a closed system versus an open system. So no, I can see that. I'm a huge Apple fan. I don't own any, but I'm still a huge Apple fan. We're famous for misunderstanding technology. Having free access to private data is very dangerous. Good point. Shout out to my man. Be right back. What about the government agents on the tech selling secrets to the crowd? No, facts. That's part of it. Facts. That's part of the game, though. That's part of the game. But we know, the cartel, especially over there, you paying a guy $30,000 for a whole year in Mexico, and the cartel gives him that every month. So there's gonna have a problem. Zach said, "Oh, great topic. I used to believe I'm not doing anything bad. Why should I care? But it's a huge risk to so many things. we did not think about. I appreciate you, Zach. But yeah, that's kind of why I was thinking about it too. Once again, I like to talk on a few, I call them society issues. I like to do this twice a month, once a month, just talk about a big society issue and where, because cybersecurity and tech plays a huge part in privacy. That's the next big gem is privacy. GDPR, CCPA, Virginia's got their own, right? So everybody's trying to get a handle on privacy and what that looks like in the future because of stuff like this. And two is what can you be held responsible for in that particular in those particular issues. Also, if the government has encryption keys and backdoors, there's a risk of that getting leaked to criminals. Oh yeah, we know somebody's gonna sell it, or like my man said, you know, the cartel, like somebody gonna pay somebody under the table and get those keys, or you know, government's been getting hacked all the time anyway. So what does that look like? So 30 plus people in the chat. Please, I appreciate you, Todd. Please hit the like button. If you're not, please subscribe. So I didn't do a members only chat. I never do that, but I appreciate that. Please hit the like button. Encryption can affect things, right? Finance. You can read my message, but don't touch my facts on that. Don't touch my money, right? And we know Zelle banks are getting hit all the time. So what does that look like? Rather than weaken encryption, we should change requirements for warrants or emergency where companies can have to comply for the national security. I think that's kind of issue. Apple was like, even with the warrant, they said they didn't have the keys, Blackjack. So even if the FBI came with the warrant, the keys are actually on a user's phone. So they were like, we don't have the keys internally, so we can't give you the message unencrypted. We can't decrypt the message. Right. So I think somehow they put the keys on your phone, and once they push them, they're not touching them. So as the server's pushing to you, your key, your private key can decrypt it, but your public key, I think, is on their server. They can't decrypt it. So I think Apple was like, hey, we can't do it. So don't come to us. And the government's like, BS, you better unlock it. So I think that's one of the issues, Blackjack, is even with the warrants, Apple was like, okay, we don't have the keys. The keys is on the phone. Oh, facts, Chris. They were giving keys away. I did a video actually on that. Long story short, people was pushing code and stuff on GitHub, especially on AWS. They had a ton of AWS keys on there. People were testing stuff, putting it on GitHub for answers and people to help them, but they forgot to take out their access keys and their encryption keys from AWS, right? So when you go in there, so AWS, so now GitHub actually scans for those keys because they were tired of people blaming them. So shout out to GitHub. So unless it's backed up on the cloud, which Apple is, now facts. So yeah, so they were trying to figure it out. Let's look at a couple more articles, and I think they talked about it. So I'm just going to peruse it. Shout out to there. I didn't look at all the videos, but this is the one they were kind of talking about. Apple and FBI are poised. This is in 2020 though, of unlocking the phone. FBI are poised for another disagreement of whether law enforcement should be able to count on tech makers to provide them access to devices of criminal suspect. FBI wants access to the phone. That was my man who was suspected of deleting 3 people in the Navy's base, but the issue would appear to set up a privacy and security debate that pitted tech companies once again against the United States Justice Department. And that'll last for several years, right? So that's what we were talking about. This is an old article. I just remember that happening. Once again, that's from 2020. And that's what we were talking about in the chat. What does that physically look like? And how would that be handled? Let's keep rolling. See, I'm a skimming. FBI again, like you said, FBI General Counsel Dana shared a letter with officials sought to help get information from the encrypted device from other agencies. That's Barr. He once again said we need those back doors. We know it's a long simmering debate. They were talking about that on the video. Although the FBI tech companies have been at odds over encryption for more than a decade, the dispute came to a head after another mass shooting. Right, it's 14 people. That's what they were talking about there. San Bernardino, California. Long rumored to be Israel's security company NSO to help unlock them. That's what we were talking about. That Israel company. Once again, Israel's got some of the top security, so they once again help the FBI, United States government, unlock it. I think that's it. Let's see. What was the last one? We're concerned where companies deliberately design their system in a way that precludes any forms of access to content, even in the case of most serious crimes. So I think that's what Apple was saying right there. Our bad. We can't get to the keys. Right. So don't come to us, FBI. And the FBI is like, yeah, somebody going to jail. Cook, we're going to come and get you, right? The FBI will roll up on you, right? So what does that look like? So let's see. Let's look at this other quick article. It's from this year. Talking about the FBI. There it is right there. Let's make it a little bigger for the old people, aka me. The FBI anti-encryption campaign. This is from May of this year. The loss of public encryption keys service providers will make us all more vulnerable to both physical and financial. The FBI war against public encryption technology. This kind, many of us use texting, email, and online banking. Entered a new phase. The FBI published a notice in the Federal Registry seeking public comment on this proposal to collect data on a volume of law enforcement investigations that are negatively impacted by device and software encryption. Right. So once again, the FBI is pushing, hey, we need that back door. The Bureau is not asking state and law enforcement agency how many times they were able to get into a cell phone, tablet, or computer despite the presence of encryption technology. This new skewed data collection rule is designed to further the FBI's long-standing. That's why I call it's called going dark, right? Meaning the government can't see inside your communication. So that's where the thumbnail said government is dark. The encryption is making the Bureau job next to impossible to fight crime. But that's a false narrative. The senior FBI official will frequently say or do something that proves it so. In 2017, the National Academy of Science, then FBI General Counsel James Baker acknowledged the Bureau was able to get into locked mobile devices in its possession 87% of the time. Right. So once again, there's Israel, there's big time companies. There's a lot of times, and they didn't really say it. A lot of the big security companies have vulnerabilities that they know when they go in and do pen testing, they don't put them on the CVE list. They give those CVEs to the government. So when they need to break in a certain website or certain phone, these known CVEs aren't published, right? So that's kind of a big issue. In December 22, 2020, the Department of Justice announced the international takedown of criminal-focused virtual private network and what the department dubbed Operation Nova. The FBI worked with Germany, France, Switzerland, Netherlands, the European Union Police Agency, aka Europol, in the operations. So all these governments are working together to help foil encryption. A lot of people believe too that those governments are actually putting people in open source teams to actually put vulnerabilities into some of those encryption products so they will be able to get into the back door of those access. They're not even telling you. Right. So when you do open source, there's a lot of people that people just kind of trust. They're known, but they're government plants and informants. So they're actually putting back doors in the open source products that people and even large companies use inside their product. OpenSSL is huge. Oracle got people working on that. Sun, Microsoft. Some of these open source projects are so big that private companies are helping maintain those because those services, APIs, and products and modules are used deeply within their application because you don't want to start from scratch. So let's keep rolling on this FBI. The FBI International Trojan Shell operation, in which the Bureau ran into its own encrypted device called Anonymous, resulted in more than 500 arrests globally, involved partnering once again Australia, New Zealand, Sweden, Lithuania, Netherlands, and others. Even the FBI overseas partners have access in cracking encryption and targeting encryption providers. In February this year, Dutch authorities announced that it had penetrated and shut down another encrypted phone provider, Xlu. Many major companies actually collude with the FBI and other law enforcement agencies. I promise I didn't read this earlier, despite ritualistic pronouncements of them about their commitment to the users and privacy. And December 21, piece on the justice security, long-term security researcher Rhonda Buntley put, given the FBI year-long campaign against encryption, it makes a strange bedfellow to the encrypted service provider as it condemned by the name in the public speeches. But its service provider and the FBI both benefit from a popular misconception that underestimates the user data available to investigations from certain end-to-end encryption services. This misapprehension simultaneously maintains a provider's image in the eyes of the privacy conscious users while upholding the FBI narrative that it's going dark in a criminal investigation due to encryption. Right, so she basically said the government's falsely saying they're going dark, but they ain't everybody else's, information. Once again, we talked about the entire rationale of encryption backdoors, the FBI new and misleading buzzword, lawful access. Once again, we talked about that. The founder of the encrypted messenger app Signal noted in April 2022, Celebrite own software is vulnerable to exploitation. Hostile intelligence service or drug cartels could manipulate the software to ensure any phone captured by satellite law enforcement partner. In turn, when affected partner's device, the hunters would then become the prey. All right, I read about that. So the cartel was buying phones, and long story short, they were actually infecting the police's phone, right, with malware. They actually bought it, I guess, from the service provider. So the American founders used encryption, sending secret message, incorporated codes only they knew. If the founders thought public use of encryption were at odds with other principles of the Constitution, they would include a ban on it or a lawful access provision in the Fourth Amendment. They did not. If Congress debates the FBI request to destroy public key encryption in an effort to solve the discrete number of crimes, it would only make us all, including law enforcement and their families, more vulnerable to the vast greater range of crimes in the future. And that, what we said, is the trade-off none of us can afford. Let's see. I think that's really all I got for today. Let me get that, let me get Dr. Ozer's. See if I can find put any more questions in the box. We see what's going on. Like I said, I got to do a little more studying tonight. Happy Monday, everybody. Once again, I thought it was a big topic. Once again, privacy. Let's see who wanted that at the top. That's Dr. Ozer's Simply Cyber Beginning GRC, super low cost. I think that's the way. Once again, I'm gonna do a video of getting into GRC, and I think that's one of them. So I think somebody was asking for that. So there it is. My bad. Sorry it took me so long. Hopefully you're still here. So definitely go check him out. He has a morning show every day at 8. It's Eastern Standard Time. Pretty good. He goes over Bleeping Computer, TechCrunch, and some other of the highly most sought out cybersecurity news articles for today. And a lot of times I do a couple of them and dig a little deeper. Let's see a couple more questions in the chat. As a novice in the space, can you answer this? Are many of the large company breaches as simple as a weak password? The large companies are a lot better about weak passwords. So they're a little, I wouldn't say a lot more sophisticated at, but they're definitely a little better than weak passwords, especially most of the large companies. They're reporting to some government agency. Once again, I used to work for a large state. We reported to the IRS. NIST, HIPAA, High Trust, Marzi if you're doing Social Security work. So a lot of those big companies are reporting to somebody, FDIC. So they have basic checks in there. One of them is you can't have a weak password. A lot of those check now, if you can see, people are pushing a lot more MFA, multi-factor authentications in there. So I think it's a little, not much, but a little. We're getting a little better. We're not at least doing weak passwords. A lot of times when you install it, that's actually one of the checks inside a lot of software is they want you to at least do 10, 2 special, 2 upper, and 2 numbers now, or at least let you do 8 with 1 and 1 and 1. So it's a little more than a weak password. So a little better. I have to check that out, Chris. I appreciate that. Oh, you're welcome. If you want to get a hold of me, most people know professorbblackops@gmail.com. If you go to my YouTube page about, you can see my email, and you can reach out to me if you want to chat offline. But yeah, that's definitely a good start to get you into the game. How can you as a consumer industry push back to protect everyone's data? That's an excellent question, Chris. I'm gonna need to think on that, to be honest. I always tell people, which most people, write your senator, write your local congressman, right? Because it really flows up. Because when you talk about FBI, CI, those are coming from executive orders from the White House type stuff. You're talking about Barr, right? So you talk about the FBI General Counsel, CI. So really, you would have to push up through your local state government and tell them to actually push up about privacy. But I would have to dig into that a little more, to be honest. But just off the top of my head, is that the link you said? Look for the PIs. That's basically GRC training, not specifically PCIDS, but it's basically IT auditing. So I think you need to start at IT auditing before you jump into PCIDS. That'll give you a basic understanding, a basic foundation, and it's super easy and it's super low cost. So you can be more understanding of what the PCI DSS training is offering. Once again, that's basic IT auditing. I think you need that before you get into the PCI DS training. And I'm gonna do a video of that in the next couple of weeks or so. So talk about getting in that. I could think look, because I think to get certified or accredited, I think you got to work for a company that has that. I don't even think you can do that on your own, but I need to double check that. I haven't looked at PCIDS jobs and accreditation probably for 5 or 6 years. So, but yeah, I think that'll be an excellent start for you. Let's see, I'm gonna hang out for any more questions. I'm glad everybody enjoyed that. Wanted to get, that's what I heard too. Okay. So yeah, so once again, I like to do a few big society questions that kind of jumped in there when I saw that meta. Then at the bottom, it kind of flowed right into the government going dark. Oh, I appreciate you, Chris. Shout out to the barbecue fund, even though PBO need to go on the diet in 2024. By your time, whatever. You know, I'm gonna be there. Hopefully, I got to do a little presentation on Wednesday. Then I'm gonna join y'all at the Osier study table. I forgot what you call the official name of it. To the study table. So now, shout out to you. I appreciate it. Yes, I check. You need merchant access. Okay, that's what I was thinking. So yeah, so I need to figure out a way, kind of see if we can skirt in the back door. I know some people that might have that. Maybe. So we'll see what's going on with that. I think the thing I'm going to push is what the other Chris is that CMMC with that accreditation. I think that'll be an easier way to get in. Then you can pivot from CMMC to PCI-DS or anything else, really. NIS 800, STIGs, because I think that'll be 171 flowing over to CMC. That's basically federal language for anybody listening. I apologize. I get to doing nomenclature. So once again, and I'm with y'all. I think our privacy is more important than the government. I think the government needs to figure out different ways. You saw some people, and especially other countries, where they depend on encryption for life and death. Like my man said, don't play with my money, so I need my encryption, right? So we need to figure out what that looks like in the future and figure out how that plan. Thank you for the link in the form of the I appreciate you, Miss KB Bailey. Once again, if you need to reach out to me, professorbblackops@gmail.com. You You go to my about page, just say you're a human, and my email should pop up. Should pop up. So once again, PBO got to go study a little bit. I appreciate everybody, and I'll be putting some videos out. And once again, if you need me, I'm hopefully gonna do a course. As you see, people keep asking me for my starter course, so that's what I've been working on and some other things, along with my CISP. And long story short is working on some GRC software too to make it easier for people to actually do stuff like keep track of policies when they're due, keep track of SOPs, keep track of when you scan in Nexus and Qualsys, where should you put your findings at? How do you actually go on Teams? They have a thing called Planner, which is basically a schedule. So how could you use Planner inside Teams with your policies inside Teams? Link those up and kind of do it. Shout out to Chris. We've been talking about how would you do an assessment and kind of what software would you do to do an IT audit / PCI-DS assessment of an organization, or FISMA if you federal, FedRAMP if you FedRAMP in the cloud, HIPAA if you were health and hospital. That assessment and IT auditing is kind of same for each one of those federal agencies, right? You're looking at a little data, but the process is pretty much the same. So what would that look like, if we actually did do that in real life, right? And that's how people get hired. That's how people get paid. That's how people become speeds in that area. I'm going to study too. Shout out to Black. What you studying, Blackjack? I got to get on the CISP. That was my goal in 2023. I don't think I'm going to make it. I had some other goals. That's the only one I didn't make. I got a Security Plus Live soon. Then working on that 1C. Shout out to 171 and CMC. Yep. You saw my videos on those. So yeah, I definitely got those. Definitely that Sec Plus is on them. Thanks for the laid back approach to heavy metal. I appreciate it. Once again, I'm out. Professor Black. Oh, CYSA, that's the big dog. That's right up there with CISP. So now shout out to you. For me, I think CISP is a little widelier known than the CYSA Plus. That's why. But not saying don't keep doing what you're doing. I just thought, especially if you go on Indeed, if you do CISP, a lot more jobs come up than CYSA. But my 2 cents. I think CYSA Plus is still a great cert. I still might check it out, to be honest. I just need a lot of federal jobs. And if you're looking for the 8570, which is what the certs in the federal government looks for, CISP is on level 3. And to be honest, CYSA Plus is on level 3 too. So shout out. Yep. Let's see. Chris, are you going live in Dr. Ozier's Discord? Is that where did you say live today? Live soon? Excuse me. Let's see, where is that at? It's Dr. TRACLA. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Ozier. He has a Discord. And I'm crappy at Discord. I would drop it in there. Let's see if Chris comes back. Simply Cyber has a Discord, and one of his I'm calling them classes. Links in there is a study table, and I'm in there a lot. So TRA, let me know if you okay. He dropped it in there. Is that the Discord, Chris, or is that something different? I guess I should click on it. What is that, Chris? Is that the Discord, Chris? Studying tonight. Let's see. I'm working to finish these last 4 classes. Shout out to Dr. Dix. He inspired me to finish. Yeah, shout out to that, man. Yeah, shout out to Dr. Dix. Definitely respect. I think he's a little more thinking AI machine learning is going to take over a little quicker than me. But now, shout out to the doctor. I love the PhDs coming into this space. So I always show them some love. So yeah, I'm shout out to him. Yeah, I do a little automation from a GRC side. I'm studying Sec Plus, but never took the Sec. I'm going to take. Good luck, man. Good luck. I let mine lapse. I didn't take my continuing ed, so I really need to take it over. So the only thing I really got, I got 4 AWS certs, so I need to get my CISP. Then I wanted to do the CISM. Then I was going to work on AWS, and Azure has a GRC compliance, kind of like little segment they have. I don't know if they got certifications, but it's kind of like a study branch inside their cert. So I was definitely looking into that. So with the AI, yeah, facts. So I've been doing a little automation inside AWS. Oh yeah, I'm always on there in this month. He give me a shout out every now and then. Shout out to him. So I'm always up in it's okay. Shout out to that. So yeah, CYA, we'll be in there tonight. I usually pop through. Last time though, Chris had me in there for 3 hours though. I can't be in there for those 3 hours with Chris. No, shout out to him. I enjoy, but I think we were in there 3 hours. Like, or was that the time before we was in there like 3 hours one night? So no, we was chopping it up. I actually enjoyed it. But yeah, I was in there for 3 hours. Yep. So that's the Discord. If you see it, TRCLA. So you definitely see us in there. There he is. I need Dr. Ozier invitation. No, I don't think you need an invitation, Dr. Ozier. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think you need it. I think you can just go to the Discord. It branched off for Simply Cyber. Yeah, it's different. It's different. You could go. I think with them, and you just go. Any free Splunk material? Ty hit me up offline for that. I think there was some out there. If not, I might be able to get you some. Reach out to me, Ty. You know, you one of my day ones. Reach out to me. I'll see if I can get it. I'll give it to you. Then I'll drop it in the community. I know a Splunk engineer personally. He owed me a favor. So I'll reach out to him. Hit me up in the email, Ty. You got my email. Reach out to me email. I'll see if you want some Splunk. I can see if I can get you some. Yep, we'll be there. Well, I'm out, everybody. Everybody have a nice night. It's Monday's over with. Let's keep it grinding. Everybody gonna study. If not, come out and check my man and Dr. Ozier's. I'm sure I'll be in there at least an hour. Probably. You see it right there. That's Dr. Ozier's Discord. I'm in Tech. I'm in Keep It Techie's Discord, Kev Tech's Discord. Struggle Security's getting a Discord. I'm in Before the Billions, if y'all know them. So I'm probably in 6 Discords that I monitor regularly. I need to set up an app or something. So if something changed, I can go check it out. But now those are the ones I'm in there though. So. Now let us know, TRCLA. If you can't hit me up on ProfessorBlackOps@gmail.com. But now that Discord is open, we want everybody to come in, and we have about 4 or 5 people in the class. So I usually pop in for a little bit and we chop it up. So once again, I'm out. Everybody have a nice Monday. I'm out of here.